Have you ever stopped to think about what's actually going on in your brain when you listen to someone? Most of us think of it as just passive, like our ears are microphones just recording sound. But what if I told you that's completely, fundamentally wrong? Turns out, listening is this incredibly powerful creative act. And understanding how it works, well, it can literally change how you interact with the entire world. So let's just tackle this big misconception head on. Is listening just a passive recording? If you think of your ears as just microphones, you are missing the absolute best part of the story. The real magic, you see, isn't in the hearing itself. It's in everything that happens after the sound hits your ears. So the answer is a huge, resounding no. Listening isn't receptive, it's creative. Seriously, think about it like this. As you're listening to me right now, your brain is like a construction site. You are actively building the meaning of what I'm saying from the ground up. You're not just receiving a message, you're co-creating it in real time. And hey, this isn't just some nice idea. It's a core concept in communication science. This quote from Jibak really nails it. The meaning isn't floating in the sound waves between us. Nope. It's being built inside your mind, using all the unique building blocks you have, your memories, your experiences, your knowledge. It's why two people can hear the exact same sentence and walk away with two totally different understandings. Wild, right? Okay, so if your brain is a construction site, how does it pull off this incredible job of building meaning on the fly? Well, it's not magic, it's mechanics. You've basically got two powerful mental engines that are always running, working together to help you make sense of all the sound coming in. And here they are, bottom-up and top-down processing. So, bottom-up is your detail-oriented engine. It starts small, with the raw data, the individual sounds, the specific words, the grammar. It's building from the pieces. Top-down processing, though, is the complete opposite. It starts with the big picture, all your background knowledge, the context of the situation, everything you already know about the world. And I think this brick wall metaphor is the perfect way to get it. Bottom-up processing is like you're standing right at the base of the wall, inspecting every single brick one by one. You're seeing the color, the texture, the little cracks, all the details. But top-down processing, that's like you're sitting on top of that same wall, looking out at the entire landscape. You get the whole scene, but you might miss the tiny details of any one brick. You want to feel what pure, raw, bottom-up processing is like? Go on, try to read the text on the screen. It's kind of frustrating, isn't it? That feeling of having to decode every single letter, piece by piece, just to form a word. That's the heavy lifting your brain has to do when it has absolutely zero top-down context to help it out. All right, so that's the theory, but what does this actually look like in our day-to-day lives? Let's dive into a couple of real-world stories that show these two engines in action, starting with a time where one of them completely saved the day. Okay, picture this. You're in a museum in Austria. You don't speak a lick of German. You want to buy some postcards that cost, say, 16 shillings. So you hand the clerk a 20. She says something back to you in German, and you have no idea what it is, but somehow you know exactly what she means. You pull out a 1 shilling coin, hand it to her, and she gives you back a 5 shilling coin. Perfect change. How on earth did you do that? That was pure top-down processing at its finest. You had zero bottom-up information. You didn't understand a single word. But what you did have was a powerful life schema, which is just a fancy way of saying you know how buying stuff and making change works anywhere in the world. Your brain used that big picture knowledge to just completely leapfrog over the language barrier. Amazing. All right, now for a totally different scenario. Imagine you're standing in front of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. An Italian woman comes up and asks you a long, complex question. You just give her a blank stare. So she simplifies. She points and just says, "Capella?" Still nothing. You're about to shrug and walk away, but then she tries one last time. Sistine Capella, and bam, the light bulb goes on. This right here is the sweet spot. This is what's called interactive processing. Your brain takes one tiny piece of bottom-up data, recognizing that one word, Sistine, and instantly combines it with your powerful top-down knowledge. I'm a tourist, she's a tourist, we're at the Vatican, she must be looking for the Sistine Chapel. The two engines fire at the same time, and in an instant, you've created perfect meaning out of total confusion. Okay, so knowing about these engines is one thing, but how do we actually learn to drive them? Well, it all comes down to your purpose. We listen for different reasons all the time, and the very best listeners know exactly which tool to pull from their toolkit for the job at hand. So let's look in this toolkit. You've basically got 3 primary tools. Are you trying to pinpoint one specific fact? Are you just trying to get the general vibe of the conversation? Or are you trying to read between the lines? Let's break them down. Let's use a super simple example. Person A says, "Let's go outside." Person B replies, "It's raining." Okay. If your goal is to listen for specific information, you're using the tool that answers the question, "What's the weather?" The answer is simple and direct, raining. Easy enough. But what if you switch tools, using that exact same little conversation? If you're listening for the gist, you're not zeroing in on that one word, raining. You're zooming out. You're looking for the main topic, which is something like, they're discussing whether or not to go outside because of the weather. See the difference? And now, for my favorite, the most sophisticated tool in the whole kit, inference. This tool answers a question that was never actually spoken out loud. Based on that conversation, do they go outside? The words don't say no, but we all know the answer is almost certainly no. This is listening between the lines, and it's where the richest, deepest meaning is usually hiding. So, we've got our engines, we've got our toolkit. Now for the really important part. How do we take all this and actually put it into practice to become better, more active listeners in our real lives? Okay, this 5-step process is what really separates passive hearing from active listening. First up, predict. Before a conversation even starts, prime your top-down engine. Think about what you expect to hear. Second, infer. Go looking for that meaning between the lines. Third, monitor. This one's huge. Be aware of when you get lost. It's okay. Noticing you're confused is the first step. Fourth, clarify. Ask a question. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of engagement. And finally, respond. A little nod and it keeps you locked in and shows the other person they're being heard. So the next time you're talking with someone, I want you to pay attention to how you're listening. Are you stuck down in the weeds, analyzing every single word from the bottom up? Or are you using your top-down knowledge to see the big picture, to read between the lines? The best listeners, you see, they don't just use one engine. They're like master drivers, skillfully switching between them depending on the terrain. The choice of which to use and when, well, that's now up to you.